In a new 38-page essay, the CEO and founder of Anthropic writing, quote, "Humanity is about to be handed almost unimaginable power, and it is deeply unclear whether our social, political, and technological systems possess the maturity to wield it." Our Deirdre Bosa joins us with a closer look at what Dario Amodei wrote and the broader fallout from AI's ascendance. Dee?
Hey, so Scott, beneath Dario's that doomsday framing, there was a more practical point, and that's this. As AI systems mature, the constraint shifts from building faster to managing and deploying what already exists. So instead of who's spending the most or hiring the most, the question we should be asking is, who's actually getting the most out of what they have already spent or workforces they've already cut? Now, that framework, it lines up with what Sam Altman is saying about aggressive hiring. He says it can actually be a signal of poor planning and a setup for layoffs once AI starts doing more of the work, i.e. he's trying to avoid what Pinterest and Amazon are now doing in terms of layoffs later on. Now, both of them, Dario and Sam Altman, signaling that the next phase of AI isn't necessarily about expansion, it's about leveraging what you already have. And that is a key shift that investors should be watching too as we head into big tech earnings. So if CapEx continues to climb, investors should maybe ask how targeted the build-out is, scrutinize utilization rates at those data centers, and look for workforce productivity metrics instead of sort of the raw data. So what they're both saying is that, or at least signaling, is that we're moving into a different phase of this race where efficiency and leverage may matter more.
Good setup for us, Dee. Thank you. That's Deirdre Bosa. We're joined now by Tulane University professor Walter Isaacson. He is also a CNBC contributor and advisory partner at Perella Weinberg. It's great to see you and discuss this topic. Walter, welcome.
Thank you, Scott, to have me back.
Let's start with Amodei's warning, part of it, where he says, quote, "I believe we're entering a rite of passage, both turbulent and inevitable, which will test who we are as a species." Do you think, Walter, that we're up to that test? And do you think we're underestimating what could go wrong with this technology?
Yeah, his essay about the adolescence of technology, you say, are we up for it? It is indeed like an adolescence. It's going to be a transformation that's got some dangerous and weird sides to it. I am not as worried about the total number of jobs going down. I'm listening to your show today. Part of it is about all the job cuts of companies like Nike doing it because of AI. And the other part of it is all the people adding jobs because of AI data centers. I think it's important that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which I'm losing a little faith in because it's become politicized, is very good. It should be very good. It's important that it be good in saying how much the gains in productivity that come from AI translate into more demands for more goods and services and perhaps more employment.
What about if we take all that as fact and we don't see, at the end of the day, as many job losses as some are projecting? What about the so-called brain drain? The fact that our lives are going to essentially be run by data centers. Individualized thinking is going to be shoved to the wayside because everything is going to be determined by what is put into a data center and what is spit out.
Oh, I don't think individualized thinking will ever come into a crisis. And you can go back to Socrates arguing it with Plato about whether writing will make our minds worse because we won't have to memorize things anymore. I think there'll always be a room for the people who can connect creativity to the technology. And that symbiosis of human creativity and the processing power of machines probably will always grow faster than machines alone will grow. As I've told you, I've started a group here at Tulane writing everybody's biographies and memoirs. 50% of that can be done by processing a lot of material, but at least 50% has to be the creativity, the reporting, the asking of questions. And so I do think we'll find new companies like this that will create jobs for creative people, especially people who understand history and the humanities.
Do you think there's any threat to our so-called power of purpose or our self-worth if essentially these machines are doing everything? He writes, and I want to read this other passage to you, where Dario says, quote, "If the exponential progress continues, which is not certain, but now has a decades-long track record supporting it, then it cannot possibly be more than a few years before AI is better than humans at essentially everything. What's the fallout from that on who we are as people?
I don't think they'll be better than at us at essentially everything. They'll be better at processing power. I think that indeed that notion of having a sense of purpose could be undermined if we try to use AI to just do everything and have a guaranteed basic incomes and make it so that people don't have to work or don't have the opportunities to work. But I don't really see that coming. We have not seen any data points yet where there's less opportunities to do creative things because of AI. And so I think projecting into the future that machines will do everything for us, no, we don't have any data points that that's happening.
Do you worry at all that our leaders are, and I think these are some of the points that were raised and discussed, that our leaders understand fully what's coming and can be honest with people about the darker sides of what AI might bring? We could be talking about new age weapons. We could be talking about altered photos, which we seem to be discussing more and more. We could be talking about misinformation, which can be damaging, if not destructive.
Absolutely. All those things could happen, and Dario's piece very much talks about the problem we have, which is we don't understand it. Maybe even Dario and Sam and Elon don't fully understand what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years. I do think there's a danger of over-regulation, as Dario said. There's a danger of over-doomsdaying it, as he said. But there's also a danger that people don't understand it enough that they're not going to watch for the bad trends that happen. I think if I had to tell you my worries, one is not that it would decrease jobs, but it would increase inequality. In other words, it would hollow out the middle, just as so many other technologies have done, while creating huge returns to a certain small segment. Secondly, it can undermine democracy. It can foment the spread of misinformation and fake pictures. Those are the things I think we should be focused on, and those are things we have policy tools that we can use to address.
I'm so glad you raised this issue, because I wanted to go there with you as well. We've had no answer to this point about the income inequality question. The gap between rich and poor has only gotten wider over the last several years. We sit here every day on this network and we watch a stock market hit new highs, and that only really impacts not a small sector of people, but not everybody. We've had no solution whatsoever. So how can we now, as Dario writes, quote, wealthy individuals have an obligation to help solve this problem. Are they up to the task in doing so?
I think you could look at 40 or 50 years of technology that increase growth, increase the number of jobs, but hollow out the middle and increase inequality. And that could certainly happen an order of magnitude greater by AI. But those aren't things that are too difficult to address with policy tools. You can figure out what type of taxes, wealth, whatever you want to do, so that the gains made by AI productivity are distributed in a way that doesn't cause a resentment, doesn't cause the populist backlash. This populist backlash we're seeing in Europe and the United States is largely because so many people are being left behind by the gains that come from technology. We're not clueless on the policy tools you need to make sure that gains in productivity are spread throughout the society.
To be continued for sure. I so much appreciate your time, Walter. Thanks again for joining me.
Love talking to you, Scott.
All right, it's Walter Isaacson. I do as well.